Yeah. So, all right. So, did you have a topic you wanted to throw out, or did you want me to jump to my next one?
So, I mean, Joe Lacob was, I guess, doing an interview or a podcast or something, and he was critical of the NBA's luxury tax.
Right.
You know, he's like, because we're only, $30 or $40 million over the salary cap, and then they have to spend $100 million or something beyond that in luxury tax.
Right.
He's like, oh, because you're penalizing us and blah, 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 blah. And then Colin goes on his show and is, he's like, why are you penalizing the Warriors? They just draft and develop. It's like, slow down, Colin, okay? Yes, they drafted Steph, they drafted Clay, they drafted Draymond, okay? They're also paying them a ton of money, okay? Right. So in addition to that, you have Andrew Wiggins' contract, which is humongous. Okay? The only reason they're able to keep them is because they're paying a mountain in luxury tax. Okay? Now, I'm definitely in favor of teams spending money, especially if they have it and they've got, they have the potential to maybe win a championship. Like, that's great. But, Colin was just sort of presenting it as, oh, you're penalizing them and they're doing everything right. It's like, well, I mean, not totally. I mean, those owners have decided we're going to go way deep into the luxury tax to make sure our team continues to be competitive, even when it might not be. Like the last 2 years before this championship, they were not competitive, basically. So, it's just rich people whining about something. It's just so like, I'm sorry, you're not going to get a lot of sympathy from me. It's like, it's your money. You've decided to spend it that way. If you want to not keep all those guys, then go ahead. Don't keep all those guys and you won't spend all that luxury tax money. So, it's just one of those things. I hear it and I'm just like, can we not go out of our way to defend people, billionaires? Like, really?
Yeah,
especially coming from Colin, who's also, he's obviously not struggling for money, and he's just, oh, you're penalizing them. It's like,
Yeah, I mean, look, I think I wouldn't have a problem if it got adjusted a little bit to where they're not paying $4 for every dollar, when it gets to a certain point. I can understand that. But all of these owners could do this if they wanted to. They all have the money to do it. I realize the Warriors are now making more money than most of the other teams now because of the new arena and because of all the other stuff. So that's their situation is a little different than some of the teams, but it's not different than all of them. Like all these teams that could win the title, like Phoenix, trying to be cheap on DeAndre Ayton. That's just nonsense. They have the money. Like, don't give me this. So I don't. If you don't want to pay the luxury tax, then sell the team. That's my opinion. Now, Golden State again is gone way beyond.
Yeah, they've gone.
We're going to pay a little bit of luxury tax. They've gone way beyond that. And then, I think I heard from somebody else this week. Well, see, they couldn't sign Gary Payton and they couldn't sign Otto Porter. Yeah, but they got Dante DiVincenzo and JaMychal Green though. Like it's not as if. Let's not act like, oh well, the Warriors are really struggling. No, the Warriors are fantastic. What I think is like the way the Lakers are acting with Russell Westbrook. Just buy him out. Like, you don't tell me you don't have the money. Just take care of it. Just buy him out and get him out of there. Like, so some of these the way some of these NBA owners act is ridiculous. Now, I was watching a YouTube video with Mark Cuban, and they were asking him just random questions. And, he basically made the point, like, when he first bought the Mavericks, like, we weren't in the plus column in revenue the first 10 years I owned the team. Like, the franchise value was going up, yes. But we weren't, like, it wasn't like, oh, we're making money. It's like, no. But he's like, you don't buy these sports franchises because, yes, they do make money because everything goes up over time, right? So over the long run, yes, you're going to come out ahead. But year to year, like, no, man, it's not your profit center. Like, you have to put, this is what it is to own a sports team. So I do think it would be cool if they made, some kind of, but I don't think anything is going to change when the next CBA comes up in a year. I don't think they're going to change any of this. I think this will be the same as it always was. Like, the teams that are smart are going to be smart, and they'll figure out a way to deal with it. And the teams that aren't,
Well, and the other thing is, when I just thought of this, I didn't hear anybody else say it. It's like, okay, so he's spending, if they just take the luxury tax out, I think he said they're spending like 30, 40 million above the cap. Okay, and then you have
above the luxury
tax
tax line. Yeah.
Okay, so you're telling me that you can afford to pay the 30 or 40 million over the cap plus the luxury tax. Okay, if we get rid of the luxury tax, and maybe he's not saying get rid of it, maybe he's just saying modify it a little bit, but it's like if we just get rid of the salary cap and get rid of the luxury tax, if you could afford to keep spending 130, 140 million above what the cap used to be, you wouldn't do it. Okay, then you'd really be buying championships or trying to buy championships.
Right.
So, let's just keep that in mind. It's like you guys, you're continuing to win. Yeah, you're spending a lot of money and you're winning. Like, what are you really complaining about? You just want to make more money. So
and the thing is, like, I like where Colin Cowherd, his general sense of it is we should just get rid of salary caps in general, and he's not wrong, because if you look at European soccer, it's basically like the NBA or college football. There's 5 or 6 teams that they're the cream of the crop. One of them will probably win it every year. That's kind of like how it is. And that's pretty much how sports are. Even if we took out the salary cap, it wouldn't really change much. Like, I know we think, oh, geez, we're making it fair. We're really not. We're going to go over, in our draft, the most pathetic sports franchises. They're the same teams that they've always been, and it's pretty much always been that way. And by the way, the Rams just won the Super Bowl. Oh, well, the Rams came out of nowhere. No, they're making a shit ton of money. Like with new stadium, Los Angeles, that's why they won. Has nothing to do with any of this other crap. And yes, I know there's a salary cap in the NFL, but the guaranteed money you hand out has nothing to do with the salary cap. That's about how much money do you have? Because you got to write, if you're gonna give a guy a signing bonus, that means you got to write a $40 million check or whatever it is.
Yeah.
To give the guy the money up front. There's only certain teams that can do that. So, I think I'm not against modifying the system a little bit. I'm not. I don't think this is, oh my God, the Warriors are going to take over everything. No.
Yeah, no, I don't think
it's not how the NBA works, And plus, once that great player that gets a little bit older and isn't the same anymore, you're not winning titles anymore.
Yeah.
So that's what it comes down to. It really comes down to players.
I don't know. I just get kind of annoyed when billionaires are like, "Oh, come on, we're spending too much, and you're charging us too much money." It's like, dude, come on.
They all have the money, and the way there's not a luxury tax, but there is kind of. It's not really a salary cap, but in European soccer, they basically, based on what your revenue is, they figure out some percentage based on that to decide what your limit is.
Okay.
So. Yeah, so there is a limit, but it's based on so you can make as much but the more revenue you make, the higher your limit is.
Right.
Which is a much more accurate way to do it. Right? If the Warriors are making $700 million in revenue, then their salary cap should not be $150 million.
Yeah.
So it's if you just think about that, so I'm not against adopting that because I'm basically I see how these other leagues do it in other sports, and I'm like, why are we doing it this way? There's some things that don't make sense. But anyway, we could go on all day about that. So, all right. Do
you want to talk about Nick Saban? He said we're going to create a caste system because I guess there was the SEC